So listen, I'm not sure if this is setting up to be the final story arc of DanDaDan or anything like that, but as we're slowly approaching the 200 chapter mark and enter a phase of the plot where almost every character that we've ever interacted with throughout the series is becoming involved, that just might be the case. It was already slated to be an impactful arc the moment Grandma Psycho was involved in battle, but with the arrival of Unjizuma now from the Fairy Tail card arc, who surprisingly still has his powers even though I thought he lost them at the end of the Danmanra arc, it's clear that our protagonist team is getting buffed in numbers a lot, and there's gotta be a reason for that. In my eyes, it can only mean that the danger we're going to eventually be facing is going to require all of these hands that are on deck right now. And honestly, I would believe it because there's just so much tension and high stakes being built up in the background, and our characters really only have a grasp of like a fraction of what's going on. Which just creates a scenario where we, as readers, are significantly much more worried about what's going on in the events that are about to happen than the characters in the story currently are. I don't know about you, but when Ira and Gigi were all kind of fighting each other and all of their powers immediately shut off and stopped, I genuinely feared the worst. I said, oh my god, something just happened. They got him. They figured it out and stole their powers. But nope, it was just Momo bringing everybody's power down so everyone would chill out and stop fighting. But I have to tell you, that is exactly what tension is supposed to do for the reader. Honestly, the separation between what the characters feel and what we feel, and still making all of that feel real and honest and not really ruin any kind of pacing, shows me that the author knows what they're doing, and I have to just give praise to Yukinobu Tatsu for making this big arc feel as impactful as it needs to, if it truly is and is going to be what leads to the finality of DanDaDan. The reason everything is so tense is because at this point, we literally know anyone can be a villain and they can come out of anywhere at any time. There's already 2 we know of at the school, and again, that's all we know of. Potentially there are even more in the school already and more on the way from other locations. Not for nothing, sure, our protagonists are on a little bit of alert, especially after having Koki Yukishiro and the big pygmy attack come, because Ira and Gigi spring into action immediately and start fighting Unjizuma with no warning or logic the moment Gigi thinks Momo is in trouble. And I don't know what kind of arc that Gigi has been on lately, but he's been very much more honest and just open about his feelings and who he is as a person. I am not sure if this is going to be leading to some kind of moment we're going to get with Gigi, but his character interactions that he's had as of late, especially with Nurse Queen, and saying that he'll do anything he can to mess with people that hurt the women that he appreciates and likes, it's got to come into play at some point. But until then, thankfully, this school day from hell is over. And now that the day is over and everybody's leaving, not only do our protagonists become a lot less safe now that they are just out in the open world, it also makes sense why Gigi and Ira would immediately start fighting, because they never met Unji, so why would they know who he was? And 2, at this point, anyone can be a villain. We don't even know who the main blackmailer is to Koki. We know it's most likely Count Saint Germain, but the protagonists know nothing. So all we can really hope for with this team up is that we're able to meet up with Psycho, get Okaron trained, and have a little bit of respite before the next big battle that is definitely coming. I mean, unless some random grunt with yokai powers shows up to attack the group again and just jumps in, I'm hoping that we can at least have a little bit of a calm down and transitionary phase in the story until this big foreshadowed basketball singles mixer that Count Saint Germain is definitely going to be raising some hell at. In this transitionary chapter, we also talk a little bit more about Okaron's potential training with Psycho, as Okaron and Momo are, now that the school day is over, off to find Grandma Psycho and potentially start Okaron's training into being a spiritual medium. Now, Psycho is out looking for the Uchide no Tachikaze hammer from Momo, so we don't know if these people will be able to meet, and again, this arc has so many twists and turns, who knows if we're even going to get that little break moment where Okaron can train. But one thing I do want to focus on too is Okaron's growth as a character, because at the beginning of the series, from what we can tell, Okaron didn't have any spiritual powers, and without Turbo Granny, Okaron was essentially useless. And obviously since then, Okaron has learned a lot and gained plenty of battle experience. I mean, it's to the point that some of Turbo Granny's speed and physicality has actually rubbed off on him, enough for Okaron to not only break the sprint record of his high school, but also drag his old bully into a spiral that leads him into his villain arc. When we first started this journey, without his Kintama, the Golden Balls, Okaron was just a normal kid. But now, after everything he's been through and separating from Turbo Granny, that might no longer be the case. And we see this because Okaron gets pulled into empty space during the pygmy attack with Koki Yukishiro. Most normal people that don't have spiritual energy are not going to get pulled into empty space unless it's deemed worthy of the people creating the space. So the fact that Okaron was able to exist in empty space proves that he does have some level of spirit energy that's lying dormant within him. Almost like Gigi and the Evil Eye arc, where through being possessed by the Evil Eye was able to connect with his own spiritual energy and manifest that spiritual energy outside of him into the big spiral cannon that he uses against the Cur. But this is also because Gigi was born with latent spiritual talent. It's part of the reason that the Evil Eye isn't able to possess him 100% anyway. So Okaron is kind of in doubts about this. He doesn't believe he has that same level of innate talent. But Momo assures Okaron that he's overthinking it, and I think he is too. I think now, if anything, Psycho may be more than willing to train Okaron and make him into someone that can protect her granddaughter. And again, is this because Okaron always had this power and it was just awakened by Turbo Granny after so much time, or something new changed after Turbo Granny separated? But I will say, and I want to remind everyone about the little theory I talked about last chapter review, which is Psycho potentially being able to see into the future with her introduction of being a spirit medium that can read the crystal ball and correctly guesses the celebrity's life despite everything he's hiding from the public. So I'll leave this "did he have the potential, did he awaken the potential later" discussion off with this. It's very possible that Okaron always had the potential, but it just was never meant to be released until now. And Grandma Psycho has known this from the very beginning, and why she never mentioned anything until now when she takes him as a student. But again, it's all just speculation. Right now, we just have to focus on what's happening next in the story, because again, every chapter is building more and more suspense. Because now that Unjizuma and his gang of delinquents have arrived to find and recruit Momo, we also learn that she wasn't the only person that was cursed by the fairy tale game board. Originally, we just assumed that Momo turned small because she ate all of the candy that was in the Danmanra. But now that we've had some time to think about it and Unji's out of the hospital, Unji also ate the same food, and Unji didn't turn small, just Momo did. But what did happen to Unji now that he's awakened and out of his little coma that he had is that he was stricken with a curse on his eyes. His eyesight has diminished so bad that now he not only needs glasses, but his eyes are getting worse by the day. And the third person to be stricken by this curse, who is the saddest in my honest opinion, is Daiki Hakuno. And if you're not familiar with that name, he is the crazy kid that was stuck inside the cursed trunk. And actually, we get a big reveal that it wasn't 10, 20, 30 years like we thought he was trapped inside the Danmanra for. We never really got an idea, but from going from a little kid to a man, we would assumed it was plenty of years. Turns out it was only 4 years. And instead of losing his eyesight or becoming small, Daiki Hakuno was cursed with accelerated aging and is now an old, wrinkled man before the age of 10. And because of that separate flow of time in the cursed trunk, now that he's free and able to go back to life, he can't go back to life because his parents reject him. As far as his parents are concerned, they lost their 5-6-year-old who was gone for 4 years. He should be about 10 or 11. Not an old fucking man. Seeing his parents to his face tell him, "Stop playing games, get this guy out of here, our kid should be this old." And just imagine living through hell, going through all the bullshit that this kid went through, only to be rejected from the family you've been trying so hard and long to get back to. And what a curse, right? Like, sure, Unji has to wear glasses for the rest of his life. He might go blind. Momo's small, but has a potential fix coming her way with the Uchide no Tachikaze hammer. This guy is just kind of fucked. And why? For what? What did he do? He deserves this. He gets a disgusting cost, and he has to pay for his crimes of accepting a gift from his loving parents? Sad. But you know what? All that tells me is these are the kinds of people that we're left with. These are the victims of Count Saint Germain after he chews them up and spits them out. Sure, the kid may not have been, the main target of Count Saint Germain, but he was a collateral damage, and Count Saint Germain has no worries at all using people to get what he wants and then tossing them aside. Look what happened to Unji. Look what happened to the Iron Bull dude. Count Saint Germain, in my opinion, whether he's the villain or not, whoever is the villain, whoever is the main guy needs to be stopped. We got to get him now. But you know what? I'm getting less and less worried that this may be a problem the more numbers we get to our protagonist group. Because not for nothing, Unjizuma is the GOAT, and I am so happy to see him back. But again, that just means that whatever level of force Count Saint Germain's going to hit us with, it's going to be big time. But you know what? If there was any kind of group of people that needed to stop him, who better to try? Thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end, guys. Hit that like button if you appreciate it, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future DanDaDan chapter reviews or videos for other series you may read weekly. Check out the main channel if you want to see some extra content, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, peace, peace.